2 weeks ago, we started this how-to on how to make Linux with XFCE integrate Amiga software. In this part 2 of this 2-part series, I wanted to show you the easy way to make it look and feel like Amiga OS as well, or rather Workbench with a bit of Opus Magellan flavor in it. So let's dig in. When I did this on my main computer, I had to look everywhere for themes and mouse pointer, finding the font, etc. But after the showcase video, someone was kind enough to point me in this direction. A user named LordWardChild has made a nice GitHub repo that have absolutely everything we need in one place. I will add the link for this in the description, of course. It contains the XFVM theme in different flavors, and it also has links to a mouse pointer and to the famous Topaz font. So this will make it a lot easier and faster. So first we need to download everything in this repo. You could use git checkout, or you can use this download link. If you're not familiar with Git, it's easier to download the zip. And then you open this archive. What you need to do is to enter this directory and copy all of these folders. The place to put them is inside a hidden directory. In Linux, those are named dot and something. So this goes into dot themes, like this. So what you should be able to do is drag them and drop them like this. And that's all there is to it. Now we should be able, let's minimize that, to change the window manager theme to look like Amiga OS. So what we need to start is this program named Window Manager. And in this list, we now have the themes we just copied into this folder. This being a full HD screen, the high DPI theme will look the best. But let's look through them. This is the 1.3 theme, which you can use if you like, and then style all your graphical user interface in blue, I guess. And this is the low DPI, is it called low DPI version of the theme? And this is the high DPI. And as you can see with the high DPI, the window elements takes a bit more place and looks more on par on how Amigas looked. And that's it. Now we have the window manager in place. One of the very important aspects of Amiga OS, at least for me, was the Topaz font. Luckily he has added a link for it, so we can visit that. And what we need is the TrueType font version. So you can download the whole repo, or we can enter TTF, which is an acronym for TrueType font, and download one of those. I haven't tried them all, so I will download the Topaz Plus A1200. And I press download. Now it should be just to double click on this, press install. And that's it. Now if we go into settings and appearance, if we now go into fonts, we can change our default fonts to Topaz. So if we open this and search for Topaz, we can see we have different looks on the Topaz font. So what we want is the normal Topaz without bold or anything like that. So we choose that and select. And now already you can see things is starting to look a bit more like it does on the Amiga. And we could also change the default monospace font. Like this. And if we now start a terminal, we can make this quite fast look a bit like Nuclei on Workbench. So if we go to terminal and preferences, edit and preferences, and to colors, we can set the text color to black and the background color. We need to try a few, I think. Not this one. Something like this. And I think we should change this into black, like this. And then we go to appearance and we change this to Topaz, like this. And if we turn off allow bold text, it is starting to look like the Workbench, Nuclei in Workbench. Maybe a bit more on the gray side. Yes, like this. To soften it up a bit. Just need to look through everything. So what I want to remove is display menu bar. And I want to remove the scroll bar disabled, like this. Now we should be able to do like this. And we start a new one. Things are starting to look a bit like Workbench. On the GitHub page to Lord Wolfchild, he also added a mouse pointer. If you remember, the Amiga had a red mouse pointer like this. So to get the full feel of it, we can download this as well. Luckily for us, he has written a nice how-to on how to install it. So on this page, he tells us to unpack everything into icons. So if we have a look, we don't have that. So we need to make that folder. Icons, like this. And now we can close that. That was the old themes. And if we opened the Amiga Classic Red, which we downloaded, this, we can now, needed to clean up a bit. We can now copy this into icons. So we take everything and copy it over like this. Now it should show up in mouse and touchpad under theme, and it does. I repeat, on the menu, you search for mouse and you open mouse and touchpad and you choose Amiga. And now you have the red mouse cursor that the Amiga is known for. Of course, we still is quite far away from being an Amiga desktop. It still looks like Linux. So some of the things we need to make is remove this and make some nice launchers, and of course have better icons and another background image. So let's find ourselves a desktop image. Let's Google for Amiga desktop image and see if we can find something nice. This mostly showed us screenshots. That's not what I was after. What I am going for in this is a rather modern Amiga. If you want to have the real old school look, all you need to do is add a gray background. But I want this to be a modern Amiga look, like the later Amiga used to look with the Amiga 4000s, with the graphics cards and that period. So let's use this. This one. Let's save this image in pictures and let's change it. Like this. Next on our list is some better looking icons. So let's see if we can find something. If we search for XFC icons Amiga, we should be able to find this package. This is the same I have on my main computer, I think. So we download this. So I think I will place this in pictures and icons. So now that we have this in here, we can use those nice icons for everything we need. These have some pretty nice icons for applications. As you can see here, this one will work great as a launcher for our terminal. But we want to install a font collection as well for the operating system. So when we googled, I saw this. This is the remnants of one of the later Amiga's versions, one of the icon sets for that. If I download this, there we have it, and open Appearance again, go to Icons and press Add. You can find in our download directory the AmigaOS icon theme. Did it install? Yes, it did. And now things are starting at least to look a bit more Amiga-ish, like the newer versions of AmigaOS. So one of the things that tells this is Linux and not AmigaOS is this start menu. I need to clean up a bit. So what I want to make is a launcher, more like the docs we have in AmigaOS 4 and macOS and that kind of operating system. So I go to Panel Preferences and I will make a new panel like this. And I will tell it to be gray and not dark gray. And I want to keep this open. I want to add some items for it. And let's first start with the terminal. Sorry, I think it's called XFCE terminal. Is it a launcher? So I need to add a launcher first, and then I can add XFCE terminal like this. But I want to change the icon. So we download this nice icon collection. So if I press the right button and edit item, press the icons button, we can go and choose image files. And then if we go to pictures and into the icon collection, tweaks Amiga icons, we can go to apps. Let's use 64 by 64 size. And we can use this one, utilities terminal, and save. I want the icons to be a bit bigger than this. So I will gather 64 looks okay. And I want it to be vertical, like this. And we need to make it bigger, like this. And if we have automatically increased the length, it will become bigger when we add more icons. So let's say we want to add this ProTracker launcher we made for FSUIE. When we want to add another item, we just double press the launcher again, and we use right button and properties. And then if we press plus and use run, we can make our own run program, and we can add that. And then we use right button and edit item. And if we have a look how we did it on this launcher in last part of this how-to, we can copy this command and use that, like that. And we can call the launcher for ProTracker. Of course, we need a better icon. We didn't find this icon the last time. Maybe we can find something better. If we search for music folder, no, nothing there. Maybe in our image files, in pictures and apps. No, nothing that looks good. So what can we do when we don't find anything and we'll want to make our own? When we installed ProTracker, it had an icon. So if we launch this and then we close this without stopping the emulator, we can go into Amiga. So now we installed it in System, ProTracker. And there we press modifier S, and it saved a screenshot for us. So now we can close the emulator. And then we have some screenshots on the desktop. So this is the icon I want to use. So if we open this in GIMP, we don't have GIMP. So let's install GIMP. And then we can open this in GIMP. And zoom in. And GIMP has this crop tool. So if we do like this and press enter, we have it like an icon, and we can use export as and add this to pictures icons, and we can call this ProTracker icon.png. Export. Now we can choose this as our icon. So if we go to picture icons, we have the ProTracker icon, which we just made. Okay, and save. Like that. And this way we can add as many as we like. I used to have these panels when I used Amiga OS in the late 90s. And we should remove these handlers, which we can move it around with by pressing lock panel and close. Of course, we need to have another panel than this. So if you remember the Amiga, it had a menu bar at the top. That one is kind of hard to mimic, almost impossible. But what I think we can do is do like this: panel, go to panel preferences again, and add another panel. And this one goes to panel preferences. Oh, I'm already there. I move this to the top row, and I take length 100% and make it smaller so it looks in scale, like the menu did on the Amiga. And in appearance, I will change this to a solid color, something like this, I think. No, a bit darker. This. Then I want to add a new item, and I want to add a menu, application menu, like this. So I added two, so let's remove that. And this one I want to do some cheating with. I will call this Amiga Workbench. And if you remember, it showed us some graphic mems, and we can write something like 1.852.398 graphics mem, like this. And we need a better icon. And this one can work for a modern Amiga look, the check mark. We do like this, and remove show icons in menus, and close. It's now starting. And we are back, and we now have more coherent colors. So, as you remember, the Amiga used to have the icons for your partitions. So I want to add some of those in desktop settings and icons. We can add an icon for our home folder and perhaps file system. And inside file system we can now see, well, the root file system of the Linux partition, like this. One of those things that I like in modern systems is to be able to know the time. So as I said, I wanted this to be a modern Amiga feel. I want to have the time up here. So we need to add some items. So I will add a separator like this, and like this. And if we press properties on the separator, you can press expand, and then we have the clock all the way over here. I also would like to have some way to find my desktops and windows, so I will have this window menu over here, and that will show us all the workspaces and windows. And I will change that to an arrow to make it a bit smaller. And now I think we are ready to remove this main panel. So if we go to the panel preferences, and this is our main panel, we can now remove it. And it's gone. Now it's starting to look a bit more like an Amiga. Some of the programs I showed, that was Amiga Linux remakes of Amiga programs in my showcase video. One of them was Worker, and if we want to install that, we write apt install Worker, like that, and now we have it. So if we now enter this panel preferences and add a new item, and we want it to be a launcher, and goes to preferences and add an item to that. It is a bit of mouse gymnastic, this. And if we now search for Worker, we have that in our menu. And as I said, Worker looks and feels a bit like Topaz 4, and it looks like this. So We have the same 2-panel layout with buttons for copying, renaming, etc. And everything is configurable, so you can make the buttons what color you like and make them do whatever action you want them to do, if you want them to copy. And if you find a screenshot of Topaz 4, you can make a copy of it to look exactly the same and behave the same. One of my go-to programs back in the days for playing modules was Eagle Player. Sadly, I haven't been able to find something that even remind me of it for Linux. But one could use one of the Winamp clones, which also was available on the Amiga as Amiga amp. We can install QMMP, and we can add that to our launcher. Again, in panel preferences, items, add launcher. But we can't have this icon, can we? So we go to edit item and into our folder, we choose image files, and into our tweaks Amiga icons folder. And we could use something like this. And we need to move it again. So we unlock the panel and move it, lock the panel. So QMMP looks a bit modern, don't you think? So we need to find a theme for it. So if we search for QMMP Amiga theme, or Winamp Amiga theme, maybe this, on archive.org. And we will download the theme. All of this needs to go into the folder. It probably is a theme folder in QMMP skins. And if we call that Amiga, should be able to do like this. Or maybe it's all we need is to place the WSC file here. Not sure. Let's try. Settings. That worked. We choose Amiga and close. So now we are able to play our modules. I already added it. So that's as far as I plan to cover today. We now have a somewhat Amiga-ish look and feel of it. We have the fonts, we have the window manager theme, we have the docs that used to come with the Opus Magellan, and we have a music player, mood player, and we have worker, which reminds us of Topaz 4. And if we want any more of those real Amiga programs, we just do what we did with the Pro Tracker in the first part. So I guess this is it for now. So thanks for watching.